This wall right here is made by robots. No drywall, no insulation, no crew of 20. And that's what Terran Robotics is doing here. And today I'm going to walk the site with its founder to see exactly how. Let's get in.
So I'm in Proto Town, a small experimental community just south of Austin in Lockhart, Texas. This is the first of more than 20 houses that Terran Robotics is planning to build here.
And I have here with me Danny, who's going to walk and show some of the cool things that they are doing with this massive robot. Danny, talk to me about what we're seeing here.
Yeah, so this right now, this is a traditional monolithic adobe wall. Nothing new or special about it. We've made these things for thousands of years. We take bucket loader or scraper. You like get the topsoil off, get that stuff in here in a pile. Take that pile and we run it through a screener. From that pile, it's put into a mixer, typical mortar mixer. In this case, we use like an electric one, so it's quieter on site, but you could use a gas-powered one. That doesn't really matter. It turns that material over, incorporates the straw and water. And the way we do it is we take a cable-driven robot, as you can see up and all around us here. It has two implements. The one that's on here now is pretty simple. It's a clamshell. Clamshell is what it's called in the crane world. Just closes on the material, picks up a fluid chunk of it. It's soft and malleable. It's not bricks. Let me grab a chunk off the wall here. So it's a soft material, like pliable, squishy. It picks that chunk up, sets it on the top. It switches to that tool that's on the ground there. That's a linear hammer, and it just pounds it into shape. Very labor intensive, very cheap material. The material is, I mean, often you're throwing this stuff away because you're pulling it out of the ground and getting it off the job site. In our case, it's like perfect building material, awesome human comfort, and basically free.
Now, the biggest question is, how does the robot actually move around to build these walls?
So the CDR, the place most people have experienced this type of equipment is the NFL cameras. So there's lines that run down to the camera on the field, and that's how you get those like sweeping action shots. Probably more drones taking that over now, but that's like where people have seen these before. I'm gonna swing you over here. So the cable-driven robot, the carriage head is controlled by 8 cables. 2 come off of each of these towers. And really that's what we use the learning for, is knowing like how much cable's in or out determines where that's at in space. So we'll scan the site, map it, and then put in a kinematic model so we can learn where we are. And it's basically just how much of those cables are in and out in 8 points on the carriage head to get you to the right place.
So that explains the movement, but there's still a question of precision. How does the robot actually see the wall and know where to place the material or how much to compact it?
Yeah, so I think what people see first when they're on the site, they're always like, what are the little, black and white tags everywhere? So those are called AprilTags. It has 8 cameras on the belly. It's reading those for position in space. It uses learning to navigate the site. So that's kind of the AI part of it, is in the movement. So it's tracking off these at all times. And then it does a secondary set with those cameras. So there's like 8 for movement, and there's another set of them that scans the wall. And that tells like the topology of the wall, so it can come back in with that hammer and flatten it out, or the topology at the top of the wall, so it can come in with those chunks of fluid material and set them in the right place, and then start shaping it with the other tool.
When it comes to functionality, there are a lot more elements that go inside the wall, and
Obviously this is a solid clay wall. I don't see any rough-ins for MEP. So what happens in those scenarios? How would you do the rough-ins for MEP?
I'll grab 2 at once. So the plumbing is here. There's no surprises. Plumbing is floor distribution, slab on grade, same as every other house that you have, slab on grade distribution. Electric comes up out of the slab as well. So there are 2 ways to do it. Well, 2 obvious ways. There are other ones you might point to, but the traditional Adobe block layers will put 2 or 3 layers in, lay out a direct burial cable, and then they just keep going. That's the path where you're gonna save like half on your electrician costs, because you can just put in, no pulling, drilling, all the other steps for wiring. This house, we're actually wanting to do like a little bit like fun exposed MEP work. So it'll have a little bit of exposed conduit. I don't do that in a whole lot of builds, as it's like a little bit of a premium, and I tend to stick to the cheaper side of things. But yeah, bury it as you're going, put it on the surface and make it decorative.
now coming to the biggest question.
If you just compare the clay walls that we see here to your normal dry walls with insulation, how does the cost fare? Do you have some numbers on it?
Yeah, I have to get like dialed in more on that for sure. The goal of like, if you're looking at a wall assembly, so you can talk linear foot, that's the easiest for like a contractor.
Yep.
Most of our clients try to abstract us to like the square foot cost for the wall, like as it, but when you're talking like linear foot, if you're taking it like, let's look at like the cheapest to stick. So
Okay.
there's somewhere like the half or a third the cost just on the materials, and we already like abstract out or remove the labor, so that's like a fairer comparison. And then there's all sorts of ways people calc it from there, but that's kind of our baseline. It was just like, we got the clearest information from that source, and we can use that as the pegging it.
Apart from like the cost side of things, what about time? How does the time fare out by this approach versus your traditional stick build approach?
So a lot of it, like the roof assemblies and stuff, the foundation, those
Correct.
kind of remain similar. This house is probably the easiest to talk to, just sit in front of it. The foundation was like week 10 days on their side. We're still like ramping up to full speed being in the field, but had this been at our target speed the whole time, it would have been something like 7 to 9 days of printing.
Okay.
You can only do like 12 to 18 inches a day. Typically with this material, we can make lighter mixes that change that, but say you do 6 lifts on this, that's 7 to 9 days.
So if it's like less thickness, you could have more production?
So it's not so much the thickness, it's the material as it weighs on itself can start to like slump at the bottom. So you have a slump rate inherent to the material. We use the really lightweight back at my house, so we can build a little bit more each day. But I think it abstracts away to being like, this house could have been approximately 7 days of printing. And there's a pretty defensible number to that. And then the rest of the build out on this one is like a pretty standard, like 4 weeks.
Got it.
So theoretically, you might have got this house in 6 weeks. But what gets left off is like one person printing. The intention is that they're running 3 machines. So when you start to like do that math out, it's like, okay, you're getting a house worth of walls at something like 2 to 3 days per person running the equipment. And that's where it starts to make, that's where the economics become unbeatable. And what's going to happen with every automated, I'm not telling a story that's not special. It's like every person is trying to minimize the number of humans to accomplish home. In our case, that's about where we're shooting right now. It's like one human should be turning out something like this every like, 2 to 3 days.
So one human augmented by 2 to 3 robots.
Exactly. 3 robots in this sample. Yeah.
Interesting. So Danny, is this like a mock-up?
Yeah, so this house here, we gave him kind of some options on how we finish. There's one more layer that goes on each of these, but the red is the one that you saw on site. We'll likely finish the exterior in this sort of sandy, sagey color, which is clay. I've never seen this particular color. It comes from about the other side of the property. And then this darker one, which I would have called like muck soil if I saw it back home. I would have assumed like high organic matter is where black soils come from, where I'm from. This actually was probably the highest clay content or close to of these 3, but these are just natural plasters, you know, clay and sand. In this case, we did have some chopped straw. Sometimes I'll use some other like finer fibers, cattail fluff or something that's like knits it together. And then the last one is just lime. This will be a traditional 3 coat. Right now it's just got the scratch coat on there. But yeah, this will be the palette that you see on this house.
So that was the building side of things.
But what about the business model for this? So are you going to act as a GC builder? Like, where do you see, or maybe there's multiple business models, but what do you think has probably the best way to scale?
So yeah, getting off the ground is, we've done a little bit of back and forth on, like one path is subcontractor. You pull us in, your walls are done.
Correct.
You know the top plate above it. You knew what you were doing before it. 1-to-1 change. Out here on this particular site, which is a little atypical, it's all custom. So like we embed a field manager GC with the project and see it through. They do a little bit of collaboration on that, but the intention is like we shoulder most of it. But it's exciting because you can come in with like, here are 10 houses. Here are your known margins. Here's your known days to print. You don't have to structurally engineer anything. You put the foundation like this and you just go. And that's something we'd like to offer.
In terms of just the vision with Terran Robotics, I guess, where do you see yourself towards the very end?
Tens of thousands of robots building the best housing people can be in at a price they can afford to transition into.
You know, walking off the site, I really felt 2 things. One was genuine excitement. What Terran Robotics is building here is real. The robot works, the material works, the cost numbers, even in their early form, point somewhere meaningful. And the thing about a technology like this is that it only gets better. The robot gets faster, the playbook gets tighter, every house they build is data, and that data compounds. The other thing that I felt was realistic. This is still early. The challenge that I see is getting contractors, developers, and regulators to trust something this different from what they know is going to take time and probably a few painful lessons along the way. But here's the thing, the housing problem in this country is not getting easier on its own, and the people trying to solve it are with the same tools, the same methods, the same economics, and it's not closing the gap. Terran is at least asking a different question, and sometimes that's where everything starts. If you want to go see this for yourself, they are hosting a demo day. The sign up link is in the description. Go see it in person if you can. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I'm spending a lot of time this year on the intersection of AI, robotics, and construction, and there's a lot more coming.